If you're wondering whether or not you can ditch Instagram when it comes to marketing your coaching business, today's episode of the Wholehearted Business Show is all about what happened when I stopped using Instagram and the weekly content creation method that is getting me much better results. Let's dive in. Hi there, welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. I'm Laura. I help heart-centered and highly sensitive health and life coaches get more clients, grow their businesses and live their best lives while they do it. And today on the show we're talking all about what happened when I ditched Instagram. So I have not been on Instagram, on my kind of business Instagram account, for about 4 months. And I'm going to just talk about what happened, what's going on with all that, because I know so many of us, especially if we are heart-centered or highly sensitive, do not feel good about using social media in our coaching businesses, to market our coaching businesses. And sometimes we might be wondering what else we can actually use that will get us results when it comes to marketing. So I'm going to break all of this down for you. I'm going to talk about what my own experiences look like and the method that has really helped me actually get much better results instead of using social media, in particular Instagram. So why did I ditch Instagram? In all honesty, it wasn't a really intentional decision. So I've been gradually doing less on social media, I would say over the past kind of 2 years. And back in March, I think it was towards the end of March, when I looked back at Instagram, the last thing I did was post some stories and then I just didn't go on there again. For many different reasons, I just didn't end up going back on. So to rewind back a little bit further, as I said, I haven't really been very active on social media for a couple of years, and I stopped posting regularly to the Instagram grid probably around about 2023. And I was using stories though, and I had something called an evergreen grid. So you might be familiar with it, but it's where you basically have either some pinned posts or a set of 9 posts that kind of create like a nice picture. And they kind of introduce people to you and your work without you having to constantly create new content for your grid. You can still use stories and you can still post reels if you want, but that kind of sits there. And I had that in place, and I'm going to link to the episode of the show where I talk about that strategy, because it is still a really good strategy a bit more. So I'll link to that episode of the show where I talk about that. So I had that in place, and I was still posting on stories quite regularly, mainly just behind the scenes, what I was getting up to, and also kind of promoting episodes of the Wholehearted Business Show and talking about that. And, when I was promoting something, when I had a launch, I would use it for that. And that was kind of the extent of it. So I used it a little bit when I launched Wholehearted Business back in March, and then I kind of just stopped posting. And I think what happened was, I've had lots going on personally, which I'll share soon. There just felt like there was this really big disconnect between the way that what was kind of going on for me and being able to show up on there, because I think, especially in the way that I used it, it was just kind of like these little insights back into my life, and it felt like there was this big, it just didn't feel good anymore to be sharing on it, and I kind of just stopped doing it without it being really intentional. And I've had it like on my to-do list for the last few months. I've had it, restart Instagram, redecide like what your strategy is going to be, and I talk about one of my mini programs called Social to Search, about how you can kind of have like a manifesto in terms of, this is how I'm going to use Instagram, this is the role that it plays in my business, to let go of like any kind of attachment to the idea that it might be for something that it's not. So I kind of didn't make that decision, but just unintentionally just stopped posting on Instagram. And it was quite when I kind of look back on it, it was a big thing. I kind of just had it sat there. And then eventually what I did as well, when they changed the squares on the grid to like the rectangles, I took down my evergreen grid, because obviously it just didn't fit on that anymore. And it kind of just sat there, and it's obviously not necessarily best business practice. I'm not suggesting that anybody else just completely stops on it, but that is how it's worked out for me. And I just wanted to talk again in this episode a bit about what has happened since then. And like I say, over the last couple of years, kind of what's happened, because I was at one point using Instagram very regularly. I was creating content and sharing it on Instagram very, very regularly. And it has been a gradual process, but more significant over the last few months. And alongside Instagram, I haven't used social media generally very much. I will occasionally post my YouTube videos to my Facebook page, but really that's the extent of it. I do have a Facebook group, and if you're in my Facebook group, I'm really sorry that I don't post very much in there. I have a client and customer only Facebook group called the Wholehearted Coaches Collective, and I do not make the best use of that group. And that is something that I do want to make a difference, because, to be fair, it's there for people to ask me questions, and I will always respond if someone posts in that group, but I'm not actively trying to generate engagement in that group at all. So that has been the extent of my kind of traditional social media presence, certainly over the last few months. So what am I doing instead? Instead of using social media, instead of using Instagram in particular, what am I doing instead? So as you will know, if you are listening, watching this show, I started the Wholehearted Business Show back in 2022, and this is the thing that I've been doubling down on, which for anyone who is new, it is a YouTube video, a podcast and a blog post that is then repurposed for Pinterest. Has the potential also to be repurposed for Instagram and other social media platforms if you wish, but that is how it works. And I call it a searchable show. I used to call it a multi-platform show, but I'm now calling it a searchable show because it's based on creating content for platforms that have inbuilt kind of SEO search capabilities, which means that the content that we're creating is evergreen. People can find it at any time. Like, it has all sorts of benefits that I'll get into, but that is what this method is. It's a searchable show method, and that is what I've been doubling down on since I have done a lot less on social media. So what I realised when I kind of unintentionally just stopped doing Instagram was that actually, I was already investing time into this and I was already seeing amazing results from this show. So to me, it made sense to double down on doing the thing that was working, not just in terms of results, but that was also working for me in terms of what felt really, really good. So that was the first kind of thing that I identified. I was like, right, I need to double down on this method. So essentially, I really recognised that this show was like the foundational piece of my entire marketing system and doubled down on it. So what that has looked like is just making sure that I do stay really, really consistent with this show. Again, if you are a regular watcher or listener, you will know that this comes out every single week without fail. I have two-week breaks. I've moved the break that I usually have over summer solstice. I'm going to move that into the summer holidays because it makes my life a lot easier being a mum with kids. And then I have a break over Christmas as well. And other than that, I post every single week and I really, really enjoy it, which again is another big thing that makes a massive difference. But I've been doubling down on it in really strategic ways as well. So things like really looking at how I can optimize what I am already doing. And again, this goes back to the strategy that I always have, which is how we can layer in the next level rather than thinking we have to have it all figured out at the start, which is not really realistic or sustainable, that we layer in the next level. So what that's looked like for me is getting more strategic about some of the topics that I might talk about, some of the titles that I might choose, especially for YouTube, some of the guests that I try and have on, things like that. That has made a big difference to like the growth that I've had for the YouTube channel, how many downloads I get on the podcast, all of that kind of stuff. It all kind of ties in because we are in a very unpredictable kind of online space, and being able to know that I can optimize and tweak this, and because I'm not putting all of my eggs in one basket in terms of the platforms that I'm on as well, it gives me a lot of kind of safety, I think, around the way that I'm creating content and the way that I'm sharing it. So that's always felt really, really good. The other thing that I am doing is I am also running ads. So as amazing as this method is to create this show, and I'm going to talk a bit more about why that specifically is really, really good, we are, like I say, we are in a challenging online environment in terms of being people who are running businesses and who want to grow audiences and communities and spaces where people can learn more about us and find out who we are. It is a more challenging environment, and ads has just been a nice little top up. But again, this show is a big part of the strategy of that, because what I want is anyone who finds me through the ads, I want them to come and watch and listen to this show, because this is where they're going to get so much value. This is where they're going to get to know me. This is where they're going to connect with me. This is where they're going to learn that I actually know what I'm talking about and therefore trust me as well. So these things don't exist as two completely separate strategies. They kind of come together as well. And again, when you are running ads and getting people into your world via ads, there's all sorts of different ways you can do that. But again, I think one of the benefits of having a show like this is that, you are able to present them with something that already has so much value in it that they can dive right deep into, and it's much likely to keep them in your world longer than if they were just coming straight in off ads and not really picking you up anywhere else. So I really love that I've been able to do that with this show. So what have the actual results been since I stopped posting on Instagram and started to really double down on the searchable show, the Wholehearted Business show? Well, I've had some really, really great results. I'm going to talk a bit more about that. And ultimately, I would say at the moment about 60% of my clients, my one-to-one mentoring clients, are finding me or are certainly engaging with me through the show. So nowadays, the amount of people who say when they sign up to work with me that they found me through YouTube is really, really big. quite surprisingly so for me. I was like, oh, I did not realise that was going to be the case. So I've had a lot of clients who found me through YouTube, and equally people who listen to the podcast and then kind of come on board and work with me that way. So it's been really, and I mean, I'm saying 60%, it could well be higher actually, but there's been a really big chunk of my clients find me through these places. Also, people find me through SEO when the Google stuff as well. So probably combined, I would say like what I'll create through this show is, I would say, a good 80% of the ways in which people find me, which is really exciting and awesome. Also, my income has increased significantly. So I will update a bit more on this in detail. Again, if you watch any of my behind the scenes episodes of the show, you can go and check those out. But I'm always quite open about my income. And last year my income was like 50 odd grand for the year. And again, just to say I do work 20 hours a week, don't work loads and loads of hours. I'm really happy with that. But actually this year it has just skyrocketed, completely changed. So I'm already at the halfway point. I already have made what I made last year, which to me is nuts. So we're in a really, really good position. And again, it has only been since March that I've not posted on Instagram, and that's not entirely the reason why, but I'll come on to some of the other things in a minute that have been a positive benefit that probably have also come into the income equation. But yeah, the income has been like amazing this year. I am especially proud of that, given that a lot of other online business owners and coaches have said that this is a weird year, and that has been like some of the conversations that I've been part of. Other people have been saying this is a weird year, things are unpredictable and things like that, and I feel like I've managed to really successfully buck that trend, which I'm quite like over the moon about, really. So yeah, it's been absolutely amazing for my income generation this year in particular. Overall, I'm just a lot less stressed and overwhelmed. When I was wanting to post on Instagram, it was always a to-do thing every single day. It wasn't just a case of, I'm going to pick up my phone and post a story today. It just felt like this pressure all of the time to have to, share something like, I think because I am someone who talks about business, who teaches people and supports people around business, sometimes I felt that there was a bit of a pressure to have to do it right rather than just doing it my way. So if I did go back to Instagram, and I will talk about this in a bit, I wouldn't try and let go of that, because I would not be doing it the right way at all. I'd be doing it my way. And I think that pressure, like not having that on, like not seeing posting Instagram stories every single day on my to-do list, has made things feel a lot lighter, really, really a lot lighter. So just having that less overwhelm, having that one less thing on my to-do list, although like I say, I have had in my, seasonal planning that I do, it has been something that's been there, like, to reinvigorate, start back on Instagram. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a sec, but I've been so much less stressed and overwhelmed. And I've had a lot less comparison, I have to say as well, because I'm not interacting with other people who are like me, which I'll break that down in a second, but that's been a really, really big thing as well. Another big positive outcome has been that I feel more like an expert. So I shared a bit about this in one of my presentations in Search and Connect, which was my audio summit that I ran last week. And I shared a bit more about this, but having this like massive body of work behind me, like, 170 odd episodes of a show about running a health or a life coaching business, like, damn right, I'm going to say I'm an expert in this now. No one could tell me that I'm not. Like, I am 100% an expert in this. I know, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. Like, it has proven to myself that I know this, and that has been, like, for my confidence, has made such a massive difference. And I'm not saying that anyone else has to do 170 episodes of a show before they feel confident to call themselves an expert. But for me, I think probably around about like 50 episodes, it really started to kick in. I was like, oh my God, like, actually, I'm getting good feedback from this. I'm listening back to my shows and thinking, yeah, actually, I do make sense when I talk about this stuff. So that's been really, really wonderful as well. And then finally, like I said just before, I have had a lot less comparison and a lot less shiny object syndrome as well. So again, because I'm not on Instagram, which, and a lot of people find this, is that it tends to be just a lot of other people who are coaches who are trying to sell to you. And it's not, or you're seeing other coaches who are like you. And it's, again, because we're seeing a very one-dimensional impression of what they are doing or what they're like or what's going on for them, it can not feel good. It can feel very triggering. It can, really drive that comparison. And while I often think there's a good opportunity to explore what is going on when you do feel that, and that's something I have tried to do in the past, is like really actually like look at, well, why is this triggering and what's going on for me? What is the signal in me? And I think there's a good bit of personal growth there to be done. But ultimately, it has been nice not to feel like I'm looking over my shoulder all the time, and I don't feel like I'm having to exist in a space where I feel like I'm kind of judging myself up against other people, and it feels really refreshing because I don't feel any of that with the podcast, with YouTube, with my blog, with Pinterest. I just don't feel any of that at all. So it's really nice to have to let that go. And also because I'm not seeing what other people are doing, other people's programs and things like that, I've been able to be much more focused on like what it is that I want to invest in to help me grow my business without as much shiny object syndrome. So it's been really, really helpful. So what am I going to do next? Am I going to continue to ditch Instagram? Am I going to go back? I've been talking and hinting a bit about it. So I'm in kind of two minds about it, to be honest. I'm quite kind of undecided. So while I've stopped using Instagram for my business, I still have a personal Instagram account that I use and that I enjoy scrolling on, and the content that I get is completely different to the content that I was getting shown on my business one. So again, I kind of enjoy it just for me. I don't go on Instagram a lot. It's not my favourite platform to hang out on. I do, funnily enough, like to hang out personally on YouTube and Pinterest, and I have personal accounts for both of those to kind of keep things separate so that I'm not seeing loads of the same kind of content. Like I like having spaces where the content is like Laura, not business owner Laura, or like the business, you know, the business that exists, you know, that has its own kind of energy and, you know, outside of me. Like I like having my own thing. It really makes a difference. But what I have missed with Instagram, the kind of key thing that would make me want to go back is, first of all, I do enjoy sharing my life. I'm really at a point in my life, and I've got some stuff going on, but I'm really coming into a point in my life when I really like to share it. And I used to love looking back at my archives of my stories because there was something that just was different from just looking back at my like camera roll. It was like there was something different about it, and I do miss that. And I do post some stories on my personal, but not in the same way. So I do miss sharing my life a little bit like that. And also I miss the networking and the kind of like knowing what my peers were getting up to. So when I talk about like my peers, I'm not talking about the comparison-y thing, but you know, I've got online business friends who I adore and love, and I miss that I don't see kind of what they're getting up to. Like I really miss that. So that would be the thing that would bring me back. And I think what I would do if I did come back, and at the moment I'm probably erring on the side of maybe coming back, I would have some highlights on my Instagram account, and I would explain this is how I am using. For anyone who's looking at me as a business mentor and thinking, what the fuck is she doing? Because this is not how you're meant to use Instagram as a business. I would have a highlight that would say, hey, maybe looking at how I do Instagram and thinking, what the fuck is she on about? She's a business mentor and she's clearly not doing it right. This is why I'm doing it. This is my strategy. So you can understand it. I am just really literally sharing about my life. This is behind the scenes. If you want to get to know me behind the scenes, if you want to see what I get up to on a day-to-day basis, because let's face it, I enjoy watching what people get up to on a day-to-day basis, you know, we like that. So that's what I would do if I was going to go back. And like I say, I am thinking that I might do that. So I think it would be fun to do that. And I think in terms of the grid, I would probably have 3 pinned posts at the top of the grid that kind of, you know, explained where people could find out more and work with me and things like that, but nothing super strategic. And I would be using it more for fun, to be honest. So that's kind of where I'm erring on the side of doing that. And obviously I will be doubling down and continuing to do my searchable show, the Wholehearted Business show, because it works so well. So would this approach of doubling down on a searchable show work for you in your business if you do not want to do as much social media? If you, like me, maybe just want to completely ditch it or just want to have like a fun relationship with social media? I honestly believe for most coaching businesses that this method could be really, really transformational. And I just want to go through some of the benefits because obviously I do have a program that teaches this. So this is just about to launch. It's called the Searchable Show Method. I'm going to deliver the first round live over 8 weeks, and I'm going to drip out the content so that it's not too overwhelming. But the idea is that by the end of the Searchable Show Method, you will have your own show ready to launch, ready to start running and starting to use it. You don't have to do it exactly like I do. You don't have to post consistently every week. It can be once a month. It can be every 2 weeks. You can have a seasonal thing, so you just run it in seasons. There's lots of different ways that you can make this work for your business, and we're going to explore all of that in the Searchable Show Method. So if you are interested, I will put the link in the description. Go and check it out. We start on the 4th of July, so do come and have a look. And it's at really, really good pricing right now at the moment as well, because it's an introductory offer. And like I said, I have ran this as a course before called How to Create a Multi-Platform Content Show. This is like the revamped, much more detailed version. And what I'm doing with this particular course is I'm pulling in a lot of the content that I had in my bigger courses like Blog School and also Pinterest Magic, and bringing in a lot more of that overarching, like just kind of bringing together everything that I've done around content, because this is the way that my kind of approach works is to bring all of these pieces together. So you're getting, not only you're getting the kind of show, but you're also getting SEO, you're also getting blogging, you're also getting Pinterest, you're getting all of the in-depth stuff for each of these platforms as well. But anyway, do go and check that out. But I wanted to run through some of the benefits of this approach. So first up, you do not have to do Reels, TikTok videos, at all. You don't have to do any kind of short form video content if you don't want to. If you want to, you can do it and you can create shorts for YouTube. That is next on my list of optimizations. And again, I would just be repurposing the videos that I already have. So number one, you don't have to do any kind of short form video if you don't want to. The next really good thing about this method is that you are creating content where the value of that content will accumulate over time, not depreciate over time. So with social media, again, it is changing a little bit, and social media is to a certain degree becoming a little bit more searchy, but generally speaking, your content depreciates over time in terms of it kind of has a life of, maybe a few days where it peaks in terms of like the views, and then it just plummets and people don't see it. But with the content that you create in a searchable show, more and more people see it over time. It kind of goes upwards, the kind of graph goes that way, points upwards rather than points downwards. You will get more views, more people will find it. The more that you do it, you're creating something that is cumulative rather than something that's going to depreciate. So, you could do a season of the show and then just walk away, and that would still be working for you with the search algorithm. Whereas with Instagram, as I've seen, because I've walked away from Instagram and have got nothing back from that at all. From all of the years that I've spent creating Instagram content, nothing has come back from that. But if I walked away from this show, I would still be getting views, people signing up to my email list, people wanting to work with me, because it would still exist in this online space. So that's one of the big differences, and that's another really great reason why you should consider creating a show like this. Again, the searchable show method is based on long form content where you get to communicate the nuance, the detail, really have those interesting conversations with people, because you don't get to do that in a short form video. In the long form content, whether that's video, whether it's a podcast, audio, whether it's a blog post, you get to explore topics and so much more richness and more interest and more depth. And also people get to know you more through that. You get to put across your point of view. And I've been talking about this as well as a big trend, is that, people need to know who you are. Like you need to have a point of view, and you need to be able to get that across in a way that people understand and get. If you want to get clients, like that is one of the things it's really going to help with. So the show this kind of method is so well placed for that, because it's based on creating that long form content where you can share that nuance, and really people get to know you through that as well. With this method, you also have the ability to repurpose the content that you create, because you are creating that longer form content. There are so many clips that you can pull out. There's so many different things you can do with it. Once you've got this long form content, the ways in which you can then reuse it is massive. So it's such an asset for your business when you start creating content in this way. It completely changes the game, because even if you change your mind and decided in the future, yes, I do want to do social media, you can take these videos, chop them up and share all the best bits on social, and it will work really, really well. And you won't have to recreate videos and things like that, which is another really great benefit of this method, which is it saves you time. So especially in the way that I run this and do this process, and with a little help from AI as well, you can make this a very, very quick, efficient, fast process of content creation that ticks so many boxes, but where you kind of set it and do it and it's off there. You're not having to constantly sit and like post every single day, or go and look at comments every single day. You can kind of just create it, share it, and you're done. It saves you so much time, so much headspace. So if you're short on time, like if you're trying to run your coaching business while you're also running a full-time job or a part-time job or have care responsibilities, this method could be really, really beneficial to you as well for that reason. Again, with this method, we are creating content that helps to build the know, like, and trust. And that is important. Again, as we've explored in recent episodes of the show, people are going to get such a better sense of your personality through this, And I mean, yes, they can do on social media as well, potentially, but I think there's just something different about these spaces where people sit and consume them, how they consume it. They're not just doing the scroll, they're not just kind of like passively scrolling. When people engage with our content, they are doing so intentionally. If someone's going to listen to your podcast, they're intentionally choosing to listen to your podcast. If someone's going to sit down and watch a YouTube video, they are doing that intentionally, and the same with your blog posts. So there's an intentionality from the end user that is different with the searchable show method than it is for social media as well. And again, podcasting in particular kind of even doubles down on that further, because there's something quite intimate about the way that people consume podcasts. They've got the headphones in when they're walking the dog or when they're doing the dishes. It's one of the things that I love about podcasting is the way that people consume that is so much more, it's like it has like a deeper connection, I think. So you get all the benefits of that again with this searchable show method. So there we go, there we have it. If you would like to create your own searchable show, do come and check out the program. Like I say, we start on the 4th of July. It's going to go out over 8 weeks. There'll be kind of like, again, I'm doing it this way because I know that summer's busy, but it's also a really good time to prep something like this, ready to launch it in September. So I'm going to drip out things bit by bit so it's not overwhelming. You're also going to get some one-to-one time with me. You're going to get Voxer access with me, and you're going to have lifetime access to all of the course and all the materials. So it's really, really great. Like if you have thought about doing a show like this, but the tech feels a bit kind of like inaccessible, you're not really sure how to set up the podcast stuff, like that was a big thing for me, like how on earth do I set up a podcast, what does that look like? I'll walk you through it step by step. And if you get stuck, it's not just like a self-study course. If you get stuck, I'll be on hand to help you work through any tech issues, any strategic issues, if you're not sure what to call your show, all that kind of stuff. I'm here to support you with that. So do go and check that out. I really hope that you come and join us. We've only got 10 slots though, so if you are interested, do jump in before those slots go. And yeah, let me know if you've got any questions, but I really hope that that's been helpful. And I'd love to know, let me know in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. If you listen on the podcast, there's a little area in the description where you can click and leave me a message. Let me know what your thoughts are on social media right now. Are you using it? How do you feel about Instagram? What is going on for you with it? Would you ditch Instagram? Are you not doing Instagram at all? Let me know, and I will respond. But have a great week, everyone. Take care. Bye.